watch out. This week, Mclaren are the surprise packets at the British Grand Prix. DJR finally find a way to win in Repco Supercars. And three-time WMX world champ Courtney Duncan sits down for a yarn. You got it. This is Sky Speed.
And away we go. Lando Norris then tries to come across and cut off Max Verstappen. Oscar Piastri tries to dive in the inside. Lando Norris leads the British Grand Prix. And here he comes. Max Verstappen on the inside takes the lead of the British Grand Prix. Watch Hamilton right behind Lando Norris. He has fired up those soft compound tyres. Hamilton's on the charge.
Norris knows he's got to break the slipstream. Hamilton will have to go far right and try to go around the outside. Norris needs these corners critically.
And here we go around Luffield and into Woodcote. They're almost wheel to wheel. On the gas, Lando Norris edges just ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton will try and hold this one. It's Max Verstappen's weekend for a sixth consecutive time. He wins the Formula One Grand Prix for the first time. It's the British Grand Prix, and for Red Bull, it's 11 wins in a row.
Kia ora and welcome to this week's edition of Sky Speed, coming to you from Continental Cars Ferrari. Wadey's back on the house. Good to have you, man. We've both been looking at the car behind us. It's a Ferrari Purosangue.
Beautiful looking car, and you haven't been able to take your eyes off it since we arrived here. Just what a magnificent looking car.
Do you know what Purosangue stands for?
Stands for fast.
It actually stands for pure blood or thoroughbred. A little bit more about that later on. So the Max show continues in Formula One. 6 consecutive wins. The boss.
He is. He really is the boss at the moment. He's just, again, up there at the front, under a little bit more pressure, but as usual, he's just able to stay there and hold it off. And, you know, it's 6 in a row. That's impressive.
That Red Bull's superior straight line speed, particularly in the DRS sections, right? But the real talking point this past weekend, McLaren, are they back or is it just a tease?
They're back. They are back, I'm going to call it. I reckon they are back. We saw they had a bit of pace at the round before, and then to back it up with second and third and qualifying, they are fast. They were there throughout the race. Piastri was fast, and obviously Lando as well, finishing up second and putting pressure on Max as well. I think that's the biggest part of it.
Well, it was Max's probably slimmest winning margin of the year. It was only like 3 seconds or so. Some people are saying the McLaren looks like a Red Bull. They think it looks like an Aston Martin. What do you think?
It sits in the middle. I think they're looking like they're taking a bit of each car, to be fair. And what was really impressive at the end of the race is McLaren actually weren't on the right tyres, and they were on the hard tyre, so they shouldn't, in theory, have had as much pace as they did. So to be able to back that up and be as quick as they were, still putting pressure on Max, yes, towards the end of the race, Max's tyres were going off that little bit more, but the fact that the McLarens were on the hard tyre,
right, yeah,
effectively on the wrong tyre, still being able to push on, and you even heard Hamilton in the race saying that McLaren is a rocket ship, so I don't think we've seen the last of those McLarens.
Yeah, and while we stay on the subject of McLaren, you cannot avoid the fact that Oscar Piastri qualified P3, finishes P4. He's still a kid and he's learning. You know, we know he's a F2, F3 champ, but F1's a bigger deal, right?
It is a huge deal. There's so much more to take on board of those cars. There's so many more things to play with within the car. So yes, it is a huge step, but there's a reason he's in there as his F3 champion, F2 champion, and you know the fight that was on to get him in a seat before the season started. So the fact that he's starting to show how good he really is, and he actually would have been on the podium, but he got done over by the virtual safety car when the main safety car came out. It just didn't work out for him. So that put him out of podium contention. But he's going to be quick, and he's going to really push Lando, which again is going to only lift that team as a McLaren even more.
You see, I could question you saying them back, because Lando Norris said afterwards, he says, oh, people think we're a second quicker. He runs 3 to 4 tenths. And he says they may not be fast on certain tracks. You think from here on in, they're on the upward trajectory?
They are full of confidence now. That's a big thing.
Hang on. They're full of confidence, but I know they're back. Come on.
They're definitely back, for sure. The cars obviously suit the high-speed stuff, as again Hamilton was saying, it suits high-speed. Silverstone is a high-speed track. Hungary, the next round, it's got a few corners that aren't quite as high-speed, so I don't think we're going to see them out, down fighting for a top 10 again. I think we're going to see them fighting for podiums from here on out.
Yeah, look, the other talking point for me was Lewis Hamilton starts P7, finishes P3. I thought that was just mega.
He's just showing his class again for someone who's, as he keeps saying, he's not in the fastest car at the moment, but he is just always there. And that is what shows his experience, the fact that he's able to make the best of what he's got and be in for podium contention. And, you know, that huge crowd at Silverstone as well, he said that helped him along the way. And it was, yeah.
Worth a second?
No, I don't know about a second, maybe a tenth or two here or there. But yeah, he just shows his world class for sure.
We're in Auckland's home of the Prancing Horse, Continental Cars Ferrari, and the Prancing Horse P9, P10. I still can't get a read on their season at all. It's all over the place.
And that's probably their first suggestion as well. It's they just can't get a rhythm going. You know, they start getting some kind of result and then they get a bad pit stop, or there's just all these things. They just can't seem to line it all up and you know, start just getting that snowball effect going, getting faster and faster like we've seen with Mclaren. So yeah, I've got some work to do.
There you go, that's the British Grand Prix, so the big talking point. McLaren, now let's get some feedback from the drivers.
Of course, you know, it's always difficult to be perfect. You know, maybe today was a bit more of a tougher day for us, but we still won, which is, of course, the most important.
As much as I felt under control, just Max was too quick for us to do anything about, and I didn't want to ruin my race because I'm trying to fight a Red Bull who's just too quick for us. So it was stressful, especially when they put me on the hard tire at the end. I was like, what have you done to me?
Most pleasing aspect was that we achieved these results on merit. A massive credit to the team. Clearly the upgrades we've brought to the car are working an absolute treat.
We have a lot of work to do. I think I know exactly what we need to do, and I think we've got to have some serious conversations about what we're going to do moving forwards. We have strengths in our car, and you know, long run particularly is great. As soon as we get the rear end that like they have, we're going to be on our way.
Yeah, McLaren's was super impressive. They drove a great race, and even so, I thought their strategy was the wrong strategy. I thought going on the hard. You know, the soft was such a great tyre. You know, they'd have been even further ahead had they put the soft on.
This week's BP Ultimate Spotlight shines on races 16 and 17 of Repco Supercars in Townsville. Race 16 maintained Erebus's control of the team's championship when Will Brown drove an immaculate race in his Coke Chevrolet to lead the championship.
Gasses up sideways out of the final corner, and that is one polished performance for Will.
That was cool.
He got followed home by Brock Feeney and Chaz Mostert. But DJR's average season continued when Anton De Pasquale DNF'd with electrical issues.
The bit around the electricals is a nightmare.
But oh, how things can change in 24 hours. Race 17, and De Pasquale, with extra rubber up his sleeve, charged off to a long-awaited victory, with Brody Kostecki second, putting him only 7 points off the series lead behind his teammate Will Brown. In his 500th race, SVG went from last to fourth and then fifth after team orders came into play.
Well, his reaction straight away was, why would I have to give it back? I passed him.
But the story of the day, De Pasquale back in victory lane.
It's awesome, it's good. It's been an average year so far, so the guys worked all night fixing the problems from yesterday, so I had an amazing car today. It was a dream to drive, so big credit to everyone behind me. They've done awesome. It's good to get this one done for the year, and hopefully it's signs of things to come.
As Lionel Richie once sang, they'll be dancing on the ceiling at DJR, and why not? Their first win since September 25 at
Pukekohe.
Yeah, Will Davison as well. I just wonder now whether that's somewhat of a game changer for that team.
It is. It's certainly a massive confidence boost for them for having that lull of no wins for so long. But at the same time, you've got to remember the fact that De Pasquale, he did start the day with 4 sets of tyres because of the DNF the day before, so he had fresher tyres throughout the race, which did help. You can't say that's the only reason. He still had to be there. He's still fast, but now he just has to back it up.
Oh, well, they've got the Sydney Super Night. That's the next big one coming up. But SVG celebrates 500 races and gets told to concede to his teammate when he's just passed him. What gives?
Interesting one, isn't it? The way that's all played out. But basically, it gave him a shot to have a go at the car in front, to get by Feeney as quick as he can, to be able to have a go at Heimgartner. And unfortunately, he wasn't able to get Heimgartner. And then as a team, you've got to then look, right, well, Feeney's in for a round win if we reverse these positions. So that is the background of why they did do it. But
Shane loves team games, right? What was the line? Why? I've just passed him.
Yes, that was the line.
Come on, be honest. He'll be filthy. Quietly filthy. Come on.
It's it is a team game at the end of the day, and it did give them the round win. So of course he's a driver. He wants to be up as far as he can, and maybe one day it might be the difference in the championship.
Best friend of SVG, get no intel. Let's talk about Andre Heimgartner. He's probably the best of the Brad Jones Racing drivers. I thought his battle with Brock Feeney in race 2 was just one of those mega moments. Say, yeah, this is why the parity issue is okay.
Yeah, and Heimgartner is impressing at the moment. He's there all the time, and he's battling well. He's driving well. He's a real contender in this championship too. Just the way he's one of those drivers that just does keep coming to the top. As they say, cream rises to the top.
Mr. Consistency, you think?
Mr. Consistency, and he's doing a really good job for Brad Jones Racing.
Well, you talk about contenders. Everybody keeps calling Cam Waters a contender, and you think he's a great driver, but I have to question this, right? You're at the front of the pack, and by the end of the race, you're at the back. Not right at the back, but you go backwards. Like good drivers, SVG, remember, in that race win, last to 4th, but 5th in the end. Come on.
Yeah, he's obviously struggling with the car a bit. The fact that he's really having to rag it to be up to the absolute front, and just doesn't seem to be able to translate it into race pace here or there. And when you're pushing that hard, mistakes happen, and it's just so hard to get everything right. But I still think he is one of the better drivers out there as well. He's very, very fast, and he's still going to be there.
Okay, well, I'm putting a question mark right there on the old Monster Mustang for you. I'm not going to agree with you there. It's as simple as that. All right, let's move on, because there's exciting news. The provisional calendar for next year has come out, and the Taupo International Motorsport Park is in there, Anzac weekend. What do you think?
I'm excited. How cool will that be? It's there. It's going to be a great track for it. It's interesting.
Well, it's provisional, Andrew.
I know.
And you've driven that track a lot. So talk to me about tyre deg, because that's traditionally a high tyre deg track.
It is a high tyre deg track, and punters love that sort of stuff because it makes the racing so much more interesting. If you've got a super flat surface, everyone knows what's going to happen, but when you've got that high tyre deg, it's a game changer. So I'm excited. I hope it comes to fruition.
I love the back straight coming onto the front. It'd be just that one that you come through there and you
Is that the one you went on the grass?
Yeah. People won't remember that at all. Move on to Callum Hedge, by the way, in the Carrera Cup at the weekend. A P6 when he actually won the race, got penalised. Then 2 P3, sits second in the championship. But even better, he's doing this Formula Regional America right at the moment. Runaway leader at the moment, and we're thinking right now he could pick up that Super Formula drive, which is the prize, $600,000 US. How good?
And he deserves it too. He's such a fast driver. He's one of New Zealand's best up-and-coming talents at the moment. And you think of the two different disciplines he's doing. He's racing a Porsche Cup car one week, and then he's off racing a single-seater Formula Regional car the next. So to be able to adapt like that is what makes good drivers great, and he's got a huge future ahead of him.
So do we think he's a little bit like SVG, can sort of adapt quickly to certain formulas?
I think it's an important piece of the puzzle these days to be able to adapt, to be able to switch between different formulas and single-seaters and tin tops and all that, and just keeps you sharp.
All right, we are going to stay sharp right now because we've got to talk about another one of our faves, friend of the show, 3-time WMX world champion, Courtney Duncan, who I sat down with the other day. Hey, Courts.
What's up?
What's up? Nothing like a good coffee. I mean, that's the way to start a good conversation, right? Having good coffee.
Yeah, can't get enough coffee.
You're a little flat white though.
Yep, small flat white, double shot, really strong. That's how we roll.
Is that how the mornings start?
Every day. It's the first thing I go to.
It's so nice to have you back in the country. Did you think you would be arriving back in this break period, leading the World Championship again and looking at title number 4?
I guess that's always the goal when we leave the shore at the start of the year, is to come back with a red plate mid-season. And I'm stoked. It's been a really good season today. Probably one of the best that I can remember, to be fair.
It looks dominant, but I've been watching some of the races and I go, you've actually had to work for it, really work for it this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the competition's risen. Like, they're really good. There's some young girls coming through that are really fast, got some good raw speed, so it's keeping me on my toes.
Yeah, what's defining your season?
It's a good question. I think the pre-season back home in New Zealand really helped me get kind of on the right foot at the first World Cup, and just another year older, wiser,
Mate, you're only what, 27?
27.
27, older and wiser at 27. Give me a break.
I feel like I've been doing it for a while now. I can no longer pull the I'm still a rookie card when I make a mistake. So you got to learn and I guess keep evolving because, yeah, like I said, they're coming.
How much of this has been about strength?
A little bit, like for sure. I think I've tried to focus a little bit more on bike setup this year, a little bit more on technique, and I feel like once we've got that combo going, it's helping me a bit more. But at the same time, there's been a bit of strength and conditioning go on this year, working really hard with high performance. And my trainer back home in Dunedin, and Mikey, and we got a really good program going on, off and on the bike, and yeah, feeling probably in some of the best form of my career.
Is the excitement starting to build for the back end of the season? You're 20 points in front, you're looking at title number 4, moto wins, could be records all over, you've got the most GP wins. I mean, boy, start ticking the boxes, girl.
Yeah, no, I'm always excited to head back overseas, especially like that second half of the career, when you second half of the season when you have the red plate. It's like, okay, like let's finish the job at hand, and 2 more World Cups, like you say. Next one's in the deep sand though. So
you used to hate sand. How do you feel about sand now?
Yeah, I would say I used to hate it. I'm starting to learn to love it a little bit more. I knew it was a weakness in the past, and this year I really tried to put a big emphasis on riding in the sand, just on Wood Hill here. I've spent a bit of time here in January, February before I left, and then again this month, and actually learning to love it, learning to love the process, and just feeling like I'm inching a bit closer to getting a bit better in it.
One of my producers, Tom, has been stalking you on Instagram just to figure out what you've been doing, right? Because he said, we've got to talk about this. And the really cool thing we noticed since you've been back, hanging out with your mates. How important is it for you to just get out with your mates and forget about the business?
It's really important, and I think as I get older, I'm understanding the importance of that balance, you know, working really hard, but then having life outside of the sport. And yeah, like I say, when I get to come home, I like to catch up with my mates. And yeah, no, I've done some cool things while I've been home. Had a girls' trip to Wally, which was probably on the top of the list. And then,
did you get wild and crazy?
Maybe once or twice, yeah.
Okay.
We had a good time, that's for sure. We'll just leave it with that.
But you also, when you landed, you made a trip straight away to Highlanders country for Aaron Smith's final game as a Highlander. Now, I didn't realise you guys have hung out together.
Yeah, like obviously I train at the same facility as the Highlanders, so I've been fortunate enough to kind of see them train and obviously get to know Nug on a bit more of a personal scale. And yeah, just hang out and train, and yeah, it's been really cool. It was good to get to the game, obviously. Been a fan of the Highlanders since I was probably like this big. I can remember my parents taking me to the game, so yeah, it was cool to go there and see that. Got the win that night, even better. So it's good. Must have been my good luck charm. So
when you hang out with someone like Aaron Smith, do you guys sort of share notes, and do you, as elite athletes?
I think just being able to train in the same facility, like you see an athlete like Nug, and you get to see a bit more behind the scenes of how hard they work, and it's cool to kind of witness that and understand, like, okay, like if I want to reach that category in my chosen field, then, you know, it's not going to come just handed to you. You're going to really have to work for it, and yeah, put in the grind day in, day out.
Something that's really noticeable about you now is you look like you've got that killer instinct in you that is like, get out of my way.
I feel a little bit like that now, especially this year, because of obviously last year was a little bit of a slap in the face, right? Having the broken collarbone and getting knocked to the ground, and
then almost doing it.
Yeah, and it honestly just woke me up a little bit. Okay, like I'm just going to have to sharpen the blade and be better and work a little bit harder. And I feel like I come home last year a little bit like extra motivated and a bit wound up to prove a point this year, and so far it's working. All
right, we better drink this coffee because it's getting cold. It's not bad though. You won't get a better one, by the way.
It's cool how they've got a cafe in the moto shop.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. Not bad at all.
Round 6 of the IMSA WeatherTech Championship was in Ontario, and it was another prosperous day for Maya Shank Racing and Tom Blomqvist. After claiming pole position, it was lights to flag for Blomqvist and teammate Colin Braun, claiming their second win of the season, in a race finishing under caution with just over 5 minutes to go after Renger van der Sande binned the 01 Cadillac.
Oh, he just got tipped and put onto the grass by Farfus.
In the WEC and the 6 Hours of Monza, Toyota denied the Le Mans winning Ferrari team victory on their home track. The number 7 Toyota, driven by Mike Conway, Jose Maria Lopez and Kamui Kobayashi, recorded their 3rd win of the season. It was bittersweet for them after failing to finish at Le Mans.
And that will go some way to just putting a sticking plaster over the raw nerve that was defeat at Le Mans.
Brendan Hartley's 8th Toyota would have finished higher than 4th if it hadn't been derailed by 2 penalties. Toyota's win over Ferrari after 6 hours, just 16 seconds.
So Ferrari have brought their game to WEC, and that's what we love, but they've also brought their game to the roadwood. We talked about the Ferrari Puro Sangue at the top of the show. So here we go, right? 4-wheel drive first time, 4-door first time. But it gets better, 725 horses. You like that?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Sounds good.
720 newton meters of torque. You like that?
Yep, even better.
Okay, 4 doors, swinging out like that.
Yep.
We love that. Okay, how about $850,000 as a price tag? Fully optioned.
Not bad.
Not bad.
It's a fair bit of money, but you know what? I'm having a skid on the ice, and you doing that later on?
Hang on. This is like having Murph around. You're having a crack at one of those.
Yep.
When?
Yep.
When?
Oh, about a month's time. We're up on the snow with about 6 or 7 of these up there. I cannot wait to get up there. I'll send you a message and let you know what it's like.
You see, some things just don't change. Well, what you're not allowed to drive is the new SF90XX. Now, the XX program was their track-only program, you know. Buy a car and then they take all the cars, you drive it and walk away. They've now released the XX, the SF90, the Stradale and the Spider, right? 1,030 horsepower. Can you believe that? And it's road legal. That's the kicker. It's road legal.
What gets me is it'll be such a fast car, but it'll be more than just horsepower, just the way that it would handle, just being, you know, having that road element, and it's just so nice to see some of these cars these days, and Ferrari are just so good at being able to adapt between road and track. Be a beautiful car.
Is there a sort of thing you want to tell me about that? You're not going to have to drive one of those? Take people to drive one of those?
I'll let you know.
All right, on that note, some things just don't change. Here's a continuation of Murph's road trip to America, and he catches up with Hunter McElrea.
The year's been crazy. Obviously, we're kind of a third of the way through. I would say the level of what it takes to pole or win is the same, but on the days where something goes wrong, you know, now we went from a 12-car field to a 19-car field. So if you miss it by a bit, you're punished a lot more. It seems like we've kind of just been clawing ourselves out of bad situations. So we'll be okay. You know, I'm not stressed or anything like that. You know, I know what I can do. It's early in the year, so you just want to kind of stay in it.
Side by side for third now, Louis Foster. Gold inside. Foster trying to go the long way around. Big wiggle for Gold. He hangs on to it. Now Hunter McElrea is going to try to come up and get 2 spots in one corner. How's it going to come out through 6?
Great job, Hunter McElrea. The over-under.
Obviously, it's my second year of the team, so the first year was a bit crazy. It was like, I can't believe I'm here. Such a good team, so many resources. It's a high level, so everyone's kind of at that level in a sense, but you know, I personally believe Andretti's obviously the top team. So, you know, there's a lot of competition, but great teammates. It's unreal. You know, like anything, you kind of get used to it, but you do have to remind yourself how lucky you are to be racing for Andretti at a level this high. For me, I started in South Island Formula Ford, and it was my granddad driving me around in a trailer, and we'd show up, drive, and we'd do like, you know, 8 sessions of practice, and you're on track, off track, on track, off track. You don't really have much time to sit and debrief or whatever. You're just driving. Whereas now, you know, you do so much work off the track, debriefs, pre-briefs, you know. It's just like anything, the higher up you get, you're doing so much more work outside the car than in. In a perfect world, I'd love to be in the car and then not having to do so much work outside of it, but that's what separates you. You know, that's especially this level when the margins are so fine, you know, you do way more time in a simulator than you do actually in a real car. You do the work more so outside the car than in.
Hunter McElrea doing the job in Indy NXT. India's back next week as well in Toronto. Plenty of Kiwis involved there. We've also got, what have we got in Rome?
Formula E.
And?
Good mate of mine, Mitch Evans and Nick Cassidy, they'll be in that. They've been very fast so far, so looking forward to watching that.
And Nick Cassidy is on point to potentially win this championship because of his recent results. We have Superbikes in Imola, but before we go, another Kiwi continues to do well. Hayden Paddon, second in Rally Sweden, and continues to lead the European Rally Championship. All right, we're done here. Our thanks to the good team here at Continental Cars Ferrari. And I'll see you next week, but don't just tell me that you're going to do something special next week, all right?
No, I'll see what I can come up with.
All right, nice to have you, man. We'll see you next week on Sky Speed.